Good morning, folks. It is I, and surprise, I am roasting my coffee beans. Back to Kona, my Hawaiian Kona, after quite a long time not trying it. Going on a tour of all these other coffees long enough that I feel that I'll have a good appreciation for it again. I had almost an ecstatic time period last night. I'll share it with you. I should get some good photos. It's just really difficult because in my bedroom area it's small and it's dark, and it's hard to get a good camera angle. But I've shared a few things where I'm in there, but it's kind of dark as well. I have literally, on my bed, I have nailed 4 posts. So if you just imagine a 4-post bed or a bunk bed, but without the bunk above. I made a frame on the top, 4 posts, and then I stretched vapor barrier, so clear plastic, like the stuff above us, all over it. So, and with a little kind of tent flap to go in and out. And hooked up a power bar. Put a shelf right above my head. A little dangerous, but it's high enough. It's high enough where I can get up on my knees and I can almost have my head up straight. So it's not bad. And, well, it's a bed size, single bed size. Might be no, it can't be a double. But it's adequate. And it's like a sealed in little warm room, and then I draped blankets all over it. Now I need to interior decorate it. I just need to get some cool stuff to stick on the inside, so I'll have this funky little pad, and I want to make it kind of bohemian. Bohemian / shamanic. How's that? That's what I should have. It's just all furs in there. That would keep it warm. I have all my deer skins, but they're all just salted right now, so not really quite suitable. Although, hoping next year I'm going to have some time to maybe tan those hides and make that wood-fired sauna would be my dream. But my aim is to have a great adventure. To not sit in any one place in my journey, but at the same time not to go hog wild and trying to get somewhere either. But I do have a lot of accomplishments I want to achieve. But for now, that little room, I'll call it, like a sealed-in bed, if you think of a 4-poster bed with curtains and things, well, it's not quite as exotic, but it is absolutely practical. I put a little teeny heater in there and put it on for about 3 minutes initially, and it was about -7 out in the barn around it. And I had a warm enough room where I could take my coat off for once, and my hat, everything, and just sit in that little room and, read magazines, whatever. I'm just kind of going back to teenage years, because that was the ultimate, was to make a little fort somewhere in your house or outside in a tree, wherever. So it definitely invoked that. I definitely also, on the practical level, gave me a sense of real security, safety, because, well, I guess I'm relying on electrical, so if electrical went out, well, then I have my generator. But safety in the sense that I don't intend to live in the barn forever until it's renovated. I'm getting my trailer winterized, but for now it's good, and I like the idea of a backup plan. So for now, what I'm exploring, some people might think I'm a bit crazy or I'm tempting fate or whatever, but what I'm exploring is I want to learn, I want to embody some of this wisdom, and some of it you can only get it through going through it. And wisdom and knowledge are 2 different things, as most of you know. So I want to get a bit more of the wisdom side of it. And so I'm gaining little insights, but I also am finding that once everything's happened, I got a backup plan. I always have this little warm warm room, for literally any time in the winter. This will work now. I know, and it's just a really good sense of security. It's like I don't know if you have a battery pack as a backup for your electrical, or you have a generator as a backup for your electrical, or you have backups for anything. Backup plans, alternative sources of heat and things. So I like having backup plans because you never know, especially after what could just happen. And by surprise, I want to see how my little Kona coffee roasts quick. There we go. Get the water back on. Good old Kona. Smell that. Lovely. Lovely steamy coffee beans. Oh. Coffee roaster. Coffee grinder. So, I feel good. I think I'm getting over a big processing thing. My system seems calmer, less agitated, less waiting for the next blow kind of thing. That's the best way I could exaggerate to get across the idea. And I'm trying my best to be aware of these mechanisms within me. Like I'm really working on, like the other day, I had a little heater that I put in the trailer that I thought, well, so I don't use up as much propane, I could just have a heater on in there just to keep it above, 50, 60 degrees. So then I can, in the morning before work, I can turn on the propane and use the propane for what it's needed for. Well, makes sense. 15 amp breaker. Don't know a lot about all this stuff. I'm starting to learn. This is part of the journey. That's in my little tattoo room. Definitely went with the heater. Probably with the heater combined with something. Even though it's not a lot of wattage, so I have to get a lower wattage heater for in there just as a minimum. And I've got to rework all my extension cords. I knew I had to. They kind of grew and turned into snakes winding around everywhere. So I do need to organize those, get them to where they're just not a mess and not a liability or something. At some point I'll be stepping on them all the time. I want to get them much more on the walls as I can, or coming across the ceiling and dropping down would be probably the best. I think that might be what I'll do, is I'll create a above circuit of extension cords that then I can network with. That might be a good idea, although that means ladders and whatever. But, a warm day, that is something to do. It make me feel useful. There. Kona. Okay, sorry. There. Coffee. Drinking a little bit of Hawaii on a crisp day. This is actually, I don't know what the temperature is. Hang on, let me just check my thermometer. we go. That seems to be kind of an average in the mornings. It's about, I know it's about 4 degrees Celsius, of course. Try to get all parts of my cup warm before I put my coffee in. Otherwise it just cools down way too much. Okay. Oh, the thing, I can't really see me. I just want you to see this. Right there. That's where I'm pouring my water. And I find when I've freshly ground my coffee, it seems to be a lot more active than coffee that you get. Or when I freshly roasted it, I should say, and freshly ground it, compared to already roasted. I don't know, all the volatile oils and stuff just seem to be super, super active. It goes more like a volcano. I have to be really careful not to have it overflow. Oh. And you know, to make things even more torture, I have clients and friends in Hawaii that are saying, come on over anytime you want, hang out, stay for a few months, tattoo out of my place, whatever. And I'm like, oh, the torture. But I have things to do before anything like that can happen. Not that I could go anyways at this moment in the world, but some point down the road, the world's prepared and I'm prepared, I would love to go to Hawaii for a visit and come back. I wouldn't be able to go for long because of my doggies. But God, I'd love to do it for a couple of weeks. Boy, that would be so here. I get to try my coffee. Okay. Oh, it's really nice. This is, I could do this for the whole winter. I could do this. This is, but I could also do the winter, so not complaining. Just right now, I could handle this for an extended period of time. That's a better way to put it. I would really enjoy the weather right now if it was consistent to be a season like this. This kind of well, definitely it's a hunting season kind of weather, because I have that memory from my father hunted a bit when I was young. But I care about my father memories. I don't have a relationship with him, but it's that, I don't have words for it. I'm sure there are some good words for it, but it's sunny, crisp, but not horribly cold. The leaves are almost gone from the trees. You get that in the morning, little crisp wafers of ice over puddles that melt. The air has a freshness to it. It's kind of the polar opposite of maple syrup time. You know, in that kind of wintry spring. There's two times that I really love. I love when the spring comes and there's snow on the ground, but it's warm in the air, and you can heat yourself up and do snow angels with a shirt off. something very invigorating about it. Oh, I might have mentioned it earlier, but now I'll mention it especially. Next year, if I can pull it off, I want to build a wood-fired sauna. Can you imagine? I am going to lure people up here. Not that I have to lure people up here, but I'm going to lure people up here because then they can come up and they can lounge in a wonderful wood-fired sauna out here. I tell you, this is going to be a place of such health and such vitality and such joy. People's experiences, not that they're not already having experiences with the Soul Prince, but I want to take it further and I want to take it deeper. I want to eventually start having guest artists, guest facilitators, guest healers, guest speakers. I want it to take on a bit of an education center quality. I want to talk to a lot of my Indigenous friends about what they think might be a way that, if they're interested in being a part of stuff going on here, at least intermittently. Oh, this Kona coffee is going down well. Oh, gosh. But it's also my headspace, right? If you're in a really good headspace, anything is different than if you're not in a really good headspace. And right now, the coffee is good and I'm in a really good headspace. And the two go so well. I just want this cup to be endless. That's the kind of feeling I have. Roosty, I fed them. I made oatmeal yesterday, Scottish oatmeal. But I didn't have a lot of time to eat a ton of it because my client got here. And so I knew that was going to be excess. But I made oatmeal with whipped eggs into it. So it tastes just like oatmeal, but it had some nice protein in it. It's kind of nutty, this coffee, in a really good way. So, yeah, I got some little innard workings for the barn. I'm planning on taking the truck. I wish I could take the car because it's less gas. But the thing is, the car to the reserve, it's Golden Lake, so it's an hour and a bit, hour and a half. So, when I go, I take all my propane cylinders to refill. I take my gas cans to refill. And that way it's sort of worth it. And then I get groceries on the way back, and if I can, I'll do my laundry on the way back. So a day of just doing a ton of shit. And the car, I could go and I could do maybe I could do probably 3 cylinders in the back seat. I could even do 4 cylinders, one in the passenger seat, and then I could do maybe 3 gas cans. Just sort of weighing it out, because I'll be using less electricity, but I'm still using my time. Or less electricity, I'm thinking of the thing. Oh gosh, this is so good. Using less gas because I'll be using the car, but I won't be able to bring as many things. So I don't know. I'm going to see what I can do in filling up the car. Although, then when I'm coming back, I don't have room for groceries unless I stuff them all on top. Maybe I can. It's just that I save so much money. Like I'd save $30 on gas, easy, at the cost that it is now. Oh gosh, I'd probably save more, I'm thinking. But thing is as well, it's cool enough out that I can have a window open, because I would have full gas containers, whereas it's way nicer having them in the back of the pickup truck. And I don't get the fumes then. It would be lovely driving the truck. It's so much more fun. Well, I'll decide by the time I leave. I gotta walk the dogs. Oh, it's definitely a day where you just want another coffee. Oh gosh, that was so good. So good. Oh. Okay, so today is a good day. Today I will get lots accomplished. I think what I need to do as well is buy a bunch of extension cords, have them all in their little wraps and stuff organized, and just hang them up on nails. And then just when I have time to start reorganizing all my wiring to, well, what I've got to do is put my little heater on its own outlet and cable, because that will prevent, pretty sure, it blowing something. It's fun, interesting though, because it worked last night, and I had a bunch of lights on, so I was using more power, if anything. And then this morning, when no lights were on, I put on the heater and it blew. Now, maybe something like, I know the fridge goes on cycles, so maybe like while it was on, the fridge went on, or freezer went on its little cycle, and that's where it blew. I'm sure everything makes sense, just not to me. But yeah, it's a really nice day. Want to get lots done. Have a friend coming by tomorrow. Actually, my sister Hannah's ex-partner. I've got a little task question for him as well. I had a horrible thought the other day. Any of you out there that have RVs, trailers, if you buy a secondhand trailer, RV, whatever, would you expect when they deliver it that they would clean out the black water, gray water, clear water, like that they would be empty for you, ready? Well, I had one of my builder guys over when my power went out, and his son turned on the tap and water started coming out, and I was like, hey, I didn't put water in there. Oh well, I guess that's good to know that they left water in there, or else I would have assumed, because I didn't put any in, that it would be empty, and then it would have frozen and screwed things up. But he also said there's a little light that says that the black water, so poop, says half full. And so I left a message at Lazy Acres, the largest and supposedly the best RV sales place in Canada, for them to call me back. And I'm assuming that this little light is just needs to be reset, because there's no way that Lazy Acres, with their reputation, would send me a trailer full of poop. So I am giving them the benefit of the doubt until they call me and straighten this out. But I'll tell you, if there's poop in there, they better come and clean it out, and no hesitation, because I don't want that. And they better do it while it's mild enough that it doesn't freeze and wreck my trailer. Because that's, I don't know, let me know. Am I being unrealistic? Is that something that I shouldn't expect? Well, we'll find out. But I'm hoping that it just needs to be reset. I'm hoping there's no chance in hell that they would have done such a compromise. But then again, you never know, right? So we'll find out. There's always adventure here at Nomad Village. Always something. as there always is in the world. You can never, there is no certainty, as a friend of mine once said from the other side. There is no certainty. But she said it in a positive, celebratory kind of way. And I'm starting to get it. That no certainty is a freedom. And what comes to mind, just as I said that, is a surfer surfing a wave. So if you think most people look at a giant wave and they just go, whoa. Well, then you get that surfer who's literally gone for that little sweet spot and is surfing the wave. And it's their spiritual moment, their connection to God, to whatever, to source. So that's kind of the visual metaphor that comes to me, is that if you can harness that concept, that fact that there is no certainty, if you can harness that creatively, me speaking as an artist, I have certain things that come to mind. That is what you need. That is necessary for those peak experiences and for those, because don't want to put too much emphasis on a peak experience, because these other levels are also very important. But I know as well, as an artist, I think about technically what a mistake is. And if there were no mistakes, you'd also be locked out of creativity. Because from my perspective, creative flow that you master is an ability, just like the surfer on the wave, to find that sweet spot of kind of a creatively harnessed flow of what would be potential mistakes. But that energy, which someone might say leads to a mistake, with an artist harnessing that energy, there is no mistake, and it's literally this momentum flowing forwards. And the creative process takes it somewhere. And also in taking it somewhere, there is a connection that happens with, I'd say a source connection, the higher source. There's a connection that opens up, a portal possibly would be a good enough word for it. An energy wave to harness. These are all very real experiences that I don't think anyone listening would say are too far-fetched or too abstract to understand. So I'm trying to stay very safely, not going off too far in the ethers with my explanations, to a fairly practical level for people, but which is what I'm trying to do with everything I'm doing. I'm trying to pioneer into realms of potential healing that are old and new, both innovative and well practiced, from the ancestors and from the future. And maybe it's the same source. I don't know. I would think so. So anyways, this is kind of my explorations, and I'm really seriously working at following my intuition and opening up new territory on the inner realms. I say for the purpose of healing, and when I use the term healing, someone locked in, say, a very static model of understanding, healing would, having been co-opted over time, has a very rigid sense, and it's usually band-aid solutions like Western medicine. It's always waiting till something's gone wrong, and then you're trying to fix it. I'm talking about a healing that goes beyond even manifestation, but to where there's the potential. So healing in the sense of erasing potential for something to not be good, for dis-ease to happen before it happens. So going to the roots before the roots. That to me is a much better system of healing. Prevention, I guess, would be the easiest term to use. I see a world one day in the future that our children's children may be experiencing, where there is no need. The hospital would be for a broken bone. Those quick fix ER situations. But otherwise, people would just be so in tune with nature and aligned and in balance that it'd be virtually non-existent, that what we're experiencing right now. And I think it's truly very plausible. It's not far-fetched. I'm not talking about dumping a system that we have. It would be a slow progression of eliminating the need for other wasteful and superiorly wasteful the system that we have, both our transportation system, fuel systems, hospital systems. They're all very wasteful, as we know, as almost everything is wasteful. So I do see, and I am very hopeful about a future where it's very realistically a much more livable, shareable, lovable world of abundance. And just like I noticed how my coffee tasted so much better when I was in a better headspace, I think our world would be so much better when we're all in a better headspace. Because they really, one piggybacks on the other. One is so contingent on the other. Our state of mind generates our future, or our perceptions of the future, the now at least. And our future, in turn, affects our state of mind. So, hence, what I'm focusing on right now in the world is to really be aware of my energy and my reactivity and my reaction or non-reaction to stimuli, positive and negative, and observing where I contribute to something that I don't want to, energetically speaking. So if I get wound up by some news and agitated, or I get agitated because of a power cut or whatever, I'm working on recognizing that it is often not necessary. Oh, I think I'm splitting into two pieces here, part A, part B. Oh well, it's important. So I'm working on recognizing where these spikes in my energy goes into I'll call it a negative frequency, where it's not good for me. It's not good for the world. It's wearing me out. It's tiring me out. It's stressing me. It's influencing the way I perceive things, like I was saying with the coffee. So I'm trying to become more aware of that and not contribute energetically to a negative place. So I'm trying to stay out of anger, trying to stay out of what I identify as like spinning my tires, a waste of energy. On every level, I'm trying to be conserving of energy, mine, electrical, for every reason. And I'm seriously certain that more than anything, I need to not energetically contribute to anger, to frustration, to agitation of any kind. It doesn't mean not doing what I feel is necessary in the world. I'm just speaking for anyone. But I think doing whatever one does without getting pulled into activation. We know that with wrestling, boxing, any kind of fighting, martial arts or anything with a competition. It's important not to be, I'm not in that area, but I know a lot of people who are, and it's important not to get activated, or else you're more likely to lose. I think in that sense it's the same here. There's no value if you get activated. If you get pulled in to activation, you've just been taken. You might as well stop. So that's what I've been really focusing on, and I'm trying to work on the teeny little bits of myself, where I might drop something and it's frustrating. So I catch myself swearing under my breath. And then I trace that back, just like I was tracing back where the power cut was, to see where did the circuit fuse go. So I'm tracing, same way, I'm tracing back to where did I get agitated, why. Is it helpful? Does it go against the flow? And in my case, quite often, I might drop something and then there's a frustration, but I'm realizing that little frustration is really a voice in here that has been set up at some point and is now just playing itself out like a needle stuck in a record. But what I'm noticing is quite often it's self-defacing. It's subtle, but it is a voice that is not happy with me dropping that thing and thinks I'm a stupid idiot. I'm exaggerating just to get across the idea, but it's like a little voice, wherever it came from in the past. It could have been a parent, it could have been an advertisement, it could have been anything. A friend, or not a friend, a neighbor. But it could be a school teacher, you got in trouble or something. But I'm tracing these things back, just like I do with the electrical, and I think that's why these things are coming up. Is I think when you need to recognize something, things manifest all around you that are trying to tell you something. And I do believe these little power things, in a lot of ways, are trying to tell me something about another level that is the source of all these frequencies and how they connect. Don't fully understand it yet. I even think of just what came to mind was when a friend sees a raven and just knows it's something to do with raven visiting them or sending a message. It's that knowing feeling, and it's sort of, I think, the butterfly flapping its wings in Australia, and it somehow in some way influences us here. It's those subtleties and those connections, and I think we're moving into a reality where these connections are more noticeable and more, I don't like the word control, but I'm just going to use it loosely here, more controllable when you become more aware of it. And that these are not crazy thoughts, that these are very real, but not as simple as some of these self-help books try to paint. I think it's a much more subtle thing, and it's a much more complex thing. But I do believe there is a world not that far from here, and I feel that I'm touching on it. And that's why I am so grateful, even for difficult things like my soulmate Raven leaving. We made an agreement. We chose to recognize that there is something very important about what's happening, and that, lack of a better way of putting it across, that we made an agreement at some point before we were born here, knowing that Raven passing would activate certain things in me to jump me into a new level of being. It would activate circuits, for lack of a better word, that have been dormant and are waiting for some kind of message to jolt them into awakening. And I am taking that awareness of this very seriously, and I'm pushing, as they say, push into the thorns, push into God.